How do you know if someone is really generous? Well, Jesus taught that you really shouldn't know. Jesus said, be quietly generous. Good morning, and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about easy to remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. And the point is to help you experience life to the fullest, the Jesus way. Today's Jesus Said soundbite you can also find at our weekday Bible plan at bible.today.church. And Matthew 6:1 and verses 3-4 are listed there, but we're going to read all four of those verses this morning, where Jesus said, "Watch out, don't do your good deeds publicly to be admired by others, for you will lose the reward from your Father in heaven. When you give to someone in need, don't do as the hypocrites do, blowing trumpets in the synagogues and streets to call attention to their acts of charity. I tell you the truth, they have received all the reward they will ever get. But when you give to someone in need, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Give your gifts in private, and your Father, who sees everything, will reward you." So Jesus said, be quietly generous. Now, what in the world kind of trumpet is he talking about? Blowing a trumpet. Well, there's really no historical evidence of a Pharisee standing on a corner or anywhere blowing a trumpet. But the less literal translation, understanding the times of the day, is most likely talking about the alms box or the charity box, the giving box, sofar box in the original language, that was at the entrance to the temple there in the courtyard. They actually called it the trumpet box. And here's an example of that. We'll talk a little bit more about it in a second. In Luke 21:1-4, while Jesus was in the temple, he watched the rich people dropping their gifts in the collection box. And that's what we're talking about. Verse 2, then a poor widow came by and dropped in 2 small coins. I tell you the truth, Jesus said, this poor widow has given more than all the rest of them, for they have given a tiny part of their surplus, but she, poor as she is, has given everything that she has. You see, generosity is about heart, not amounts. But how this would work in the temple, this sofar box had like this funnel made out of metal that would collect the coins, and they would go into this box. So if you gave a small amount, it would make a small sound. But if you gave a bunch of coins, everybody would notice because it would make a lot of noise. And so it's very likely that Jesus was using an analogy here when he said, don't blow a trumpet or be like those that do. Don't make a big deal out of your giving. Generosity is about heart, not amounts, and it's certainly not about being seen. But comparison loves to be seen. Jesus in Luke 18 tells the story of a religious person and a tax collector who went to the temple to pray. And the Pharisee stood by himself and prayed this prayer. He said, I thank you, God, that I'm not like other people. I'm not like, all those bad people, cheaters, sinners, adulterers. And I'm certainly not like this guy over here, this tax collector. So the Pharisee, the religious person, was using comparison there. But yet the tax collector, who didn't fit into the religious mold, he said, God, have mercy on me. And Jesus said that he returned justified, not the other one. In fact, let's read that in verse 14 of Luke 18, where Jesus said, I tell you, this sinner, not the Pharisee, returned home justified before God. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Being quietly generous is the difference between look at me and look to Jesus. We should not do any of our good deeds or even acts of obedience in order to be seen, and especially with our generosity. We should give, we should be generous, but Jesus said, be quietly generous. How can you put that into action today? Thank you so much for listening. If this is meaningful to you, I really can't even tell you how much it means when you like it, when you share it, when you comment. I really, really appreciate you. It's such an encouragement. I hope that you have an amazing day, and I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest, the Jesus way. And remember, follow Jesus today. Love first.